It doesn't have to be big, it just has to begin. The spark feels small today, the fire's quiet low. The to-do list staring back, but I'm moving slow. No thunder in my chest, no lightning in my hands, but I don't need a storm to take a stand. One breath, one step, one honest try. That's enough, that's why. Tiny moves still count, even on the days I doubt. I don't need to feel on fire to move the needle higher. Tiny moves still count. I show up, I turn around. I don't wait for perfect sound. Tiny moves still count. Some days are quiet wins, no confetti fall. Just me and discipline, answering the call. No rush, no racing clock, no proving who I am. I build it brick by brick because I can. One task, one post, one brave sin. A momentum grows when I begin. Tiny moves still count, even when I'm worn out. I don't need adrenaline to know I'm gonna win. Tiny moves still count. I don't spiral, I don't shout. I anchor in the ground. Tiny moves still count. Small is powerful, slow is powerful, steady is powerful. I am powerful. Small is powerful, slow is powerful, steady is powerful. I am powerful. Tiny moves still count. Tiny moves still count. Tiny moves still count. Tiny moves still count. That's what this is about. I don't chase, I don't announce. Tiny moves still count. You don't need to feel ready. You just need count.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's 6:30 Hawaii Standard Time, and we are talking about Google and Notion for day 3 of my eCam Go Live Challenge. I'm doing this early because I actually have a speaking engagement. I'm going to be speaking at the Visibility to Prosperity Summit today, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, so basically in 6 hours. And my son has a doctor's appointment. Y'all know I've been momming and nursing for the last week. He had like triple eye infections. They're getting better, but we made an appointment just to establish care because we just moved from Japan. So that's the whole thing. But I did want to talk about Google versus Notion for day 3. Pretty much building off of day 1 and day 2. Because in day 1, I gave you some of my insight why I'm switching, not really switching, but I'm making Notion my primary place for keeping stuff and creating like new resources where I'm storing a lot of my frameworks, my IP, as opposed to Google Drive. Now I'm still doing some of it in Google, and Google I'm using more for storing my images, my social media, like B-roll, things that I'm capturing, because again, that's how I pull it in from Canva, so that I'm not using all my phone storage for some of that. But comparing the two is, it's sometimes confusing for some people. I'm a visual learner. I do not actually like Notion, but I'm in this game mindset that I'm here to win. I'm here to like be organized, be an adult in my business, and I can see the power. A lot of people have been saying use Notion as like, your brain. I've actually been seeing more ads, probably because Big Brother's listening. But I wanted to see it for myself. I don't like just listening to people without testing it, because some things just don't work for everybody. But in this case, I agree. It's a little bit Anxiety driven being in Notion because again, I like Google because it makes me feel like it's a more of a visual suite, which it probably is, and Notion is not. But I do know that there is a way, and I am getting trained on it so that I can create resources for all my other visual ADHD owners or business owners who are like me but don't have the same drive to get shit done. So here we go. I got the baby monitor on. We're going to do this quick. So before we do that, is what I want to do. I also wanted to do, so yesterday we did box breathing. Today, don't worry, I'm not going to show you nothing, but I'm in my PJs. No judgment, y'all. 6:30. Like my baby's asleep. I'm exposing just my chest. Don't get excited. But what I want you to do is right here, kind of down, follow your sternum, okay? And you'll see like there's two parts of it. Follow it down, usually with your pointing finger. I like my middle finger because it's stronger, so I'm not flipping y'all off. Try to keep my finger, my pointing and my middle together so y'all don't get, um, I don't get no hate comments. So you want to find the place right. You'll feel like a hard part, and then you go right above it and you'll feel this space. That's your intercostal rib cage, and it's the space between each of your ribs. Okay. And what you're going to find is right next to the sternum, you'll find a little spot, and you're just going to make little circles with your fingers. And when you feel a spot that's especially feeling special, you're like, do not back up. Keep breathing and making those circles. And then you do it for like just one or two breaths, and then you move up and you find your next one. So I didn't go down quite as far on my first one. And then here's my next one. Ooh, right here on the right side, you guys. These are pressure points. They are involved with your immune system. This is how we wake up our chi, wake up our vitality, clear up some of this energy blocks. This is where you're holding a lot of energy when you're stressed. Y'all, I even tried to do this yesterday, and then I gotta focus, otherwise I can't do this with you guys. The next one. Oh, wait, I'm not even in the same spot. Okay, this one's not as tender. The one underneath this one, okay, maybe it's a little bit tender. Push a little bit harder. You don't want to hurt yourself, but you see my skin's turning red. Like I'm putting a fair amount of pressure. Breathe, and then you just want to clear it out by being like Jane or Tarzan, depending on who you are. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Hands up, inhale, exhale. And that's how you wake up. Your chi, I feel it, dude. Like my armpits are getting sweaty. I'm waking it up. So there you go. There's a little another wellness thing that I just wanted to share with y'all. So here we go. I did a presentation for this one. Why? Because yesterday I tried to do this at 9:30. I was tired, and I went for a whole hour talking by myself, and I don't want to do that today. So we are talking again about Notion versus Google Drive for your business specifically, and which one works in 2026, especially with AI. And so, if you've been following along, I've been talking a lot about Notion, but I haven't left Google Drive out. But I do want to just say that they're not just like these random tools. And I think comparing Google to Notion is literally like comparing a house to a filing cabinet. Okay. And I made this in Notion, by the way, or not Notion, Notebook LM. If you guys don't know about Notebook LM and want me to do a live on that one, I might be willing to change up the live stream. So the main thing that I want to just talk about today is that I use both of these tools every day if you're just joining. And I'm going to tell you what I use each one for, which one is better than the other, and my honest answer for which one you should actually use moving forward in 2026, especially if you're using things like AI to train your language models, that kind of stuff. Now, the first thing you need to understand is, again, they're very different in what they do. When you think of Google Drive, you think of it as your filing cabinet. It literally stores files, so your documents, your spreadsheets, your PDFs, your image videos. It's storage essentially. And what I do like about it is that for things that you are sharing client facing, I feel like Google to me is a little bit more user friendly. I got really anxious when I was sharing things from my Notion because they have these things called cookie crumbs, where I was like, no, 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 I don't want to share this because what if it leads to like the main document where I have all my IP? But I talked with AI, I talked with Notion, and they're like, no, 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 that's not how it works. And didn't believe them. I had to go to like an incognito window to verify, but it can happen. But I do find that I like it better sharing documents from Google, not Notion. Now, Notion is more of like your business brain. It really organizes your thinking, as chaotic as it might look when you start really putting your, work to it. It really does organize things by projects. It organizes all your SOPs. You can put content calendars, databases, dashboards to help you visually stay organized. It is really used as your operating system for your business. The real question is which one is better for you? Now, I feel like Google wins for beginners. If you have like Gmail, you already have Drive. Like that, it's just part of your suite. You need to get some stuff done. It's just really quick. You can get the app on your phone. You access it literally in any Chrome, Google, website, whatever. Y'all just have grace with me. It's like 6:30 in the morning. I'm not a morning person. There's really no learning curve is really what I'm trying to say. Um, you know how basic folders work if you are using computers, and it's done. Now, Notion, though, has a learning curve. It's crazy powerful. I will give it that, but it can be overwhelming at first. And I'll be honest, I'm not its friend yet. So for me, I'm learning my own journey right now. And that's why I asked that poll in our Facebook group, because I wanted to really get your guys' feedback. If there are people that are using Notion, then that's great because that lets me know while I'm on my journey, I'm gonna create some stuff for you guys. But nobody, like, there's a few people that responded, so I'm really grateful for that. But I need more. So go in the Facebook group and go to the poll and tell me which one is your friend and which one you're using but is maybe not your friend, because then I can help. But the things that it can do once you pass that initial "what the heck am I looking at" phase, I think is going to be 1,000% worth it. And I'm like holding that vision of myself mastering and being a rock star in Notion to pretty much help me with this. So if you've never used either of the tool in your business, I would say start with Google Drive first. Get your files organized, and then you can start adding Notion to your business. Um, so again, this is the metaphor that I gave you. When you start to really create things at a larger scale in your business, I think it's really good to have something that works from a strategic standpoint. I tend to like Trello, but Trello is really hard to integrate into other things. And with AI, I need to be able to train my language models really fast, especially when I'm working on specific projects and I don't want to have everything say on my drive, or like my C drive on my actual my hard drive on my computer. And this is something that I can really easily switch between my desktop and my laptop. So again, I think this part of where we're going for is Google Drive is really great for backing up like your custom GPT instructions. So that's going back to day one and day two. Basically, I showed you the end result of what it looked like in Notion, but it was a little bit hard to kind of conceptualize, read, did see what it did. For that, I think my go-to, if I really needed to look at a custom GPT and its source prompt, I'm gonna go look to what it created for me in Google Drive. So your brand voice docs, your skill files, I think those are great places for storing your backup one that you're never going to touch and you're only going to keep just in case something happens with the bots, and they might change things that didn't need to, and then they say, well, I can't go back. Well, you don't want to be in that situation. So keeping a hard drive as your backup in Google is pretty much how I'm doing my stuff. It is essentially like your backup vault. Think of it like your belt and suspenders insurance policy as we're moving into like more AI driven like society. Now, Notion is great for more of your working dashboard. So your custom GPT Vault database, that's what we basically built at the end of day one. Your content calendar, it's really great because you can even have it go through your Gmail calendar. You can connect it through an MCP just like you would in Claude or any of these other language models where you're connecting it as a third party. And then it'll pull from that. And then if you have separate like content calendars of things that you're using for it to help you organize and create, it will pull all of it in and give you literally like a summary right in the dashboard. It's really cool. Now I'm starting to see why people like it. And so, like I said, baby steps for me. Um, now you can pay for Notion. It has its own AI in there, like built in. You can see your AI agent team, like the blueprint of what you have. There's really cool ways for sorting, for filtering, for viewing. You can connect your information really easily. And so I'm starting to learn like the little tips and shortcuts on your keyboard to really speed up my build outs in Notion. But the cool thing is that Claude is very good in Notion. Like I told you, I can see a difference where I try to get Claude to create something and it gives me the option to import into my drive because I have it connected in Claude. And then it will ask me if I want to create it in Notion. And when I look to see what it looks like in Google and compare it to what it looks like when it actually creates it in Notion, it's such a big difference. You can see that the language model really understands how to talk to Notion and build in Notion versus Google. When you build in Google, especially through like Claude, one of these more advanced language models, I feel like they like are, husband and wife, and you can see where they didn't get along. Not of the a lot of the formatting and stuff gets messed up. Not in Notion though, so that's a win for me. So I'm basically starting to create most things in Notion now, and then as I'm moving things, as I'm building skills, my MD files, all of that, I'm hosting in Notion with Google again as my backup. It might feel like you're doing redundant work and it's taking up more time, but I think in the end it is definitely worth it. Okay. Um, so again, I like the way that Notion looks. Um, think of like the studio on the go, things that you need to access. I think you still have the opportunity to do both, but look at the difference in the dynamics of what it looks like when you're in a Google version of your phone, um, and how it pretty much looks exactly the same when you're in your, like a desktop or laptop. And then think of it like your studio, and then when you really need like an expansive look at it, you can look at the office, and like that's what it looks like. That's what you can create the dashboard to look like. That's where like my end game is in really helping me create assets to really bring things together visually like this, because this is how I want my business to look like, so that I have everything in a written format that would basically be stored in Google, just basic text, nothing fancy, but there's no connection. Like I'd have to open up multiple tabs with multiple Google Docs to be able to see what I can now easily see in this dashboard version here on the right. So hopefully you're starting to see what I'm really meaning with this. And I really think from a collaboration and sharing, Google is just like the thing that is really easier for sharing files with other people's, whether that's client contracts or collaboration docs, sharing folders with like your VA. Everyone knows how to open up a Google link. They don't have to have a Notion. Not everybody's using Notion. I think Notion is better for internal work, like your SOPs, things like that. If you have a client, I think a Notion link, half of them don't know what to do with it. Sometimes they get put off because it asks them, depending on how you have the share settings, to log in and create a Notion like link. And I just have like still gives me a little bit of anxiety when I'm trying to share something in a Notion folder where I have multiple breadcrumbs leading to my main document with like all my IP. And I'm like, see, this makes me nervous. I don't like this. I'm going to go and recreate this in Google. It's going to take me a little bit longer, but I don't care. And so that's a personal decision for me. Again, if I send them an asset, I'm probably client facing stuff, I'm going to be sending it by Google. But if it's internal, like business stuff, it's all going to be most likely in Notion moving forward. So just, you kind of need to start making, this is where you need to take off your possibility scarves. We've already talked enough about the two differences and start putting on your decision crown and decide which one's going to be what you're going to focus on, or are you going to try to do both? It just really depends where you are in your business. Some people don't even have their stuff together enough to really make that distinction yet. So you may just want to get everything organized and systemized in your Notion, your Google Drive first, and then you can start organizing and really bringing it to life in your Notion. Okay, because Notion has a free thing. I'm on the free thing. But I do think that you need both. And so this isn't about which one you should use. I think that we need to start using them together. Um, and I know that's not like the sexy answer or like, and kind of you're supposed to help me make a decision. That's not what this is about. It's about giving you the information so you can make informed decisions because you know that I love awareness is power. Now, Notion, I feel like, is the front door to the house that we are building, your empire. And then the Google Drive is your filing room. So your team, or maybe if it's just you, you're a team of one, goes to Notion first to find what you need. And then the actual files live in Google Drive behind it. I really feel like I'd like to have certain things, key things as backups so that I'm safeguarded in case something gets accidentally deleted or tweaked and I need to get back the original one. Um, it's just always good to have backup. Always good to have backup, especially when you start working with agentic AI. Okay. So things to maybe start thinking about, like a simple starter framework for where to put things and how to get started for your Google Drive. I would think things like your brand voice files, skill files to be as backups, any kind of client contracts, any media kits, course materials, anything that you need to share externally, financial docs, legal docs, that kind of stuff. But in your Notion, I think content calendars, if you want to start creating one, think of using it inside because you don't want to put your content strategy inside your Google each calendar. It's going to take up too much space. You're going to get bombarded. When you look, you really want to have a clean view of your calendar. That's why Notion's really great because you can just create calendars for specific things and then it pulls it all in for you together without you having to do anything. Your custom GPT vault, you saw that I've created mine. A launch tracker, if you're having things that you need to organize by either date, checklist kind of thing, all in the same document. It's fantastic. SOPs, blueprints for like maybe your AI agents, meeting notes, project dashboards, your business operating system, all should be really in Notion. You can create a weekly flow. You can plan in Notion, store in your drive, and then connect both to Claude so Claude can help you take care of a lot of the heavy lifting, especially if you start and you just have to give Claude the name of the file or the name of the folder you started, and it pretty much starts to help you get started. So I really wanted to just kind of come on and give you this. This is what I just talked to you about of what you should do. You can get a screenshot of that and start using this. Again, it's not going to feel good or safe or like easy until what? You practice. So I really think that um, I'm loving the collaboration of both. And I have to give big shout outs to Claude for really helping me step forward into Notion because had it not been for Claude, I probably would still not be using Notion because I straight up stared at it. I was like, this is too complicated. And I walked out. And I was just like, well, since Claude connects to Notion, we started doing stuff. I was like, I would love to have this in Notion. Can you make that happen? It's like, absolutely. And I was like, oh, game changer. So your homework for tonight, this is your inspired action that I want you to take to create. If you've never started using Google Drive, where have you been? One, and two, no judgment, but we need to start. So create a folder, name it your My AI Vault, and then start dropping your brand voice documents. If you have an actual style guide for your brand, drop it in there. Any skill files or custom GPTs that you've already created, I would also put in there. And then in your Notion, the same exact one, but you're also going to add a content calendar. Maybe you should put in there like an offer tracker. These are, again, just recommendations, or you can start your GPT vault or skill vault or whatever works for you. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about Claude versus ChatGPT, and that's it. Continue to be you. Continue to be beautiful. Continue leading from your heart. Thank you for spending, if you're in Hawaii, you just spent 30 minutes with me. I'm going to go because I want to listen to the summit uh, guest speakers who are ahead of me and wait for my son to wake up so we can go to our doctor's appointment and make magic happen on stage. So I dropped the link in the Facebook group. Get tickets. They're free, y'all. And they have some powerful people coming on today. So, yeah. Anyways, see you tomorrow. Day 4.